Hey, what's good, everyone? We back with another Average Gamer Reviews video. Today, welcome to Resident Evil Village. Format's been changed. We'll get on that later at the end. I don't want to bore you at the start, so we'll continue. Right, so Resident Evil Village. Survival horror game. Survival horror genre in general is about collecting resources which are limited, trying to not use them because they're not abundant, and trying to survive by either hiding, dodging, or getting past enemies without being noticed. It's essentially the crux of a survival horror, and then there's the scares and horror aspect. Resident Evil is a franchise known for this. I think everyone knows what Resident Evil is. I don't think I need to go into detail. Most people know what it is, especially now that they've been prominent for like 20 years and they're still releasing games on the series. So I think most people know what Resident Evil is. But if you don't, I have about 3 games worth of gameplay you can watch. Yes, sell out. I am gonna advertise them because I am moving to a review channel, but I do have the old content, so go check them out if you want to know what a Resident Evil game is. But anyway, we're continuing with the review of Village. So first things first, let's go for the game's story and my first impressions of the story. So at first, it feels like a great story. The game takes place 3 years after the events of the 7th game, in which Mia and Ethan came back alive. They had a daughter called Rose, and they were living happily in Spain because they wanted to get away from America and what happened in, I want to say Louisiana. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure about the location. But first things first, that's what's going on. We are told a story about the village, the quote-unquote magical village, and a story about like powers, which really felt like it felt like the Deathly Hallows kind of thing. That's what it reminded me like a lot of. If you know what Harry Potter Deathly Hallows story is, like not the like full movie story, I mean the little like book thing, that's what it reminded me a lot of. I don't know why, maybe because it was like told in the same similar fashion. But yeah, essentially you told your kid a story and bang, Chris Redfield kills your wife. Yep, and then he kidnaps you and your child. He's not known for kidnapping kids, but he's doing it here. You are then transported into the mountainous area, probably on the way to a BSAA camp, which is Chris Redfield's unit for taking down things like, what are they called? Umbrella-like facilities. So he's like been in charge of taking out Umbrella things and people related to Umbrella and trying to clear up all that stuff. And yeah, so that's how you know there's a connection with Umbrella, because he's involved. So as you're being transported, your transport vehicle gets attacked, blah blah blah. You survive, your daughter's kidnapped, everyone is dead apart from Chris Redfield and probably some of his spec ops. Right, so you wander around the mountain, get spooked, scared by lichens, ravens, all the like. Find a village, the Resident Evil village. Hey, it's right there. But yeah, in the village, you find people, they tell you about stories, you get kidnapped by the 4 lords and Miranda. You got Lady Dimitrescu, Monroe, Heisenberg, and Benevito. And then Miranda. 5 main chapters, 5 main enemies. Game layout right there. Story-wise, your kid's immortal. I know, sorry to drop it like on you like that. But yeah, your kid's immortal. The 4 lords cut up your kid into 4 flasks. Right, if I was a doctor telling this to a patient, like, sorry mate. So we cut up your kid into 4 chunks and we gave it to the lords of the land. What lords? Oh, this tiny village in Spain. Yeah, don't ask questions. The random villagers have it, the village lords have it now. But yeah, your goal is to go around killing or getting back your daughter by killing the lords. You start off with Lady Dimitrescu, who's the chick with the mummy milkers and the Step on Me chick. Essentially, she has 3 daughters. Don't know their names. I'm not gonna try. I know maybe one of them potentially, but yeah, they essentially have one piece of it, and that's where you learn most of the story of, hey, they have your daughter cut up into pieces. The story is literally get your daughter, combine her, get her back, leave safely. That's the main premise of the story. There is a lot of lore in the game, so I did find a majority of it. So like for example, each of the lords has their own backstory. They don't really tell it fully themselves. There's a lot of memos and notes and diaries that you read around the place for each area that just talks about what happened, what went through, and why they're like this. And I think that's a great way of telling a story. Just not having the characters sit there like monologuing like, on the 13th of December. No, you sit there tightly. On the 13th of December, I was injected with a virus. No, so they don't just monologue to you. They just give you memos, and they're like, if you care about the story, here they are. If you don't, just kill the chick with the big titties. So yeah. Overall, I think the story was told well. It's on the surface, it's simple. When you consider the connections to the main story, to the Ethan Winters trilogy, yes, this is a trilogy. We're waiting for another game. It does fit in really well. It is annoying that Ethan Winters is constantly getting put on the spot, but they do explain it why in the story. So I guess that's there. It's just a bit annoying that we don't get a change of main character. But yeah, I thought the story was really well done. The umbrella connection that comes in later is really well done, and overall I think it's really, really good. I gave the story a solid 9 out of 10, as I think it fits well. It's another puzzle piece in the Resident Evil saga, and I like it. I was very much hyped for the story, and it did not disappoint, which makes me very happy. Now, on something that did disappoint me, the gameplay. Not truly. So the gameplay is a first-person shooter survival horror. Something like the 7th game, Biohazard, was. The previous installments were mainly like top-down or over-the-shoulder. They weren't, I'm trying to think back, but I think they were all like over-the-shoulder and type of thing. I think since like maybe 4 and like onwards, the ones I haven't played because they haven't remade them. I know the story, I just haven't played the games, but I think they were maybe first-person shooters. But yeah, it is another first-person shooter survival horror, so it is heavily action-based. There is a lot more action in this game than you expect. It's great action, like the guns feel great, the enemies are frightening, the areas, the level design is great, the gameplay is compelling. But I do feel like for survival horror, they could have done better. I feel like for survival horror, they should have done more puzzles. Like, most puzzles were very generic, simple, and that's not bad in a way. But knowing like Resident Evil and how creative they can be, I was kind of disappointed in that. The Benevito area was my favorite by far. I'm not going to spoil it, but just know that when you're doing it and you hear, oh yeah, you're going to Benevito, know that you're going to have fun. But yeah, I really do wish they did more like survival horror, because it did feel like just an action adventure or an horror action game, because it was just literally run and gun instead of run and hide and potentially gun if needed. That's the only reason I had an issue with it. Like, it was generic, but it was very good generic. Yeah, that's what I can really say. I never got bored of the gameplay at any point, I mean. Like, the gameplay is solid. It's good. They got the fundamentals good, well, and all that. I just wish they went back to their roots of, like, survival horror. But overall, I did rate the gameplay a 7 out of 10. I was slightly disappointed that it's a lot of action, but it was still really well done. I did knock it a few points because of my expectations of what I expect of a Resident Evil game. Now, that shouldn't factor in because it should be counted as a standalone, but as a fan, I didn't expect that much action. I would, if I really thought, oh yeah, if I was like standalone first Resident Evil game ever, the story would have been knocked down a few pegs, but this would have been probably gone up to like an 8 or a 9, because it was really good gameplay nevertheless. Now onto design and music. I did boost this section up to 15 points because it's now combining 2 of the sections. So the game overall looked phenomenal. The enemies looked great, the people looked great, the character designs were amazing, the sets were great. Like every area was unique. There was dynamic areas where you come back and it's changed quite a bit. I love that. That was amazing. That was fun to see. That made backtracking so much better, knowing that a lot of things change as you go back. The designs of the areas were amazing. Like when you're in the castle, it's full castle theme. There's like a dungeon, there's a jail, there's like there's just everything. It looked amazing. And then when you go to like Benevito's house, it's like a little house full of child dolls and it looks like a regular house. You got like factory setting, you got the village which looks like a generic Eastern European village, like in the mountainside. You have like a Monroe's area, which is like all like slimy, fishy and stuff, because he's like a fish lord. And I think the level design was great. I feel like they did an amazing job on the animations, the character designs and all that stuff. I loved it. It was fantastic to see. Music wise, music was good. It wasn't stellar. Like you wouldn't listen to it outside the game. There were a few tracks in like the previous game I would, but here not really. But the game did make itself known for music. The scenes where it was tense, you got the tense build up of music that kept elevating. You had combat music that would end slowly, gradually as the enemies got downed, which really gave you like a sense of relief. Entering areas with like the merchant give you like this relief music, because you know you're safe, you don't need to care. Like hearing the door open and the tense music start in like certain areas when you're getting chased, like especially in the castle when you're walking around and you just hear a door open and like tense music starts because she's now in the area you are. Music really elevated the game so much. It was a fantastic use of music, but sadly it wasn't really good like stand out music. So it wasn't like, oh, I want to listen to this on my own music, but it was still amazingly put together in the game. Like the triggers for the music were great. It felt amazing, and it made you feel emotions in certain areas, which why I think music is made for that in games, to make you feel a certain way, even if it's not like the tense music. You could put that on in the nicest area and I would still be shitting myself looking around every corner. That's how well put together it was. So I am going to be rating this entire section a 12 out of 15. Now the reason I knocked down a few points, even though I talked tremendously about all of them, so for me, music, you have 2 bonus points, which are the 13 and 15, no, 14 and 15 I mean, which is the would I listen to this music outside of the video game? No, I wouldn't here. Would I put this music on the playlist? No, I wouldn't. Those are 2 points I knocked off because they won't ever be played, ever. If you're a sane person, you won't ever listen to this music outside. And I knocked off 1 point for music, as it was great, don't get me wrong, it was amazing, but it wasn't perfection. There was still some bits where the music could have been slightly improved, but that's just my rating. Next up, personal enjoyment. I can't fault this game. I loved it. I love Resident Evil franchise. I hate that the direction this game is going. That's why I knocked off a 1 point at least. But I really do hope they correct the path and go to like a more survival horror game next. I really do hope it's like less action, more frights. But overall, I loved it. The game took me 15 hours to complete. It is on my YouTube channel, plug. It matches my expectation of survival horror games, which is 10 to 20 hours. And it fits perfectly right in the middle of that range. Overall, I had a blast. I loved the game. The action was phenomenal. I was tense when I needed to be. It was immersive. The lore was great. It like fixed a lot of the issues, not issues, the questions, that's the word, the questions I had about the last game and going forward, and it answered them miraculously. It did also leave itself to ask a few questions for a potential sequel in the trilogy, which everyone's saying it's a trilogy. But yeah, I had a blast. I'm rating it a 9 out of 10. Like I said, I knocked off a point for the fact that it's too action based for me to think of it as a Resident Evil survival horror game. I wish it went back to its roots as a pure survival horror, but we'll have to see and hope that they do. It's hard making a game and making it good. Yes. So yeah. Now, this is the round off to the review. So I gave Resident Evil Village a 37 out of 45. Strange rating, I know, but we'll move. Putting it on the A list. I really did wish it could go higher because I loved it and I love this franchise, but I can't. I'm restricted by, actually I can, but I'm not gonna. I was gonna say I'm restricted by laws, but I'm not. But yeah, it's going in the A list. It's a great pick game. If you're a fan, pick it up, definitely. If you love action games, pick it up. If you want to scale yourself, pick it up. I'll just recommend overall picking it up. Just in general, I loved it. I had fun. So now I want to talk about the format before I end. So anyone who's just cares about the review and is just like, I only care about the game, you can leave now. If you want to talk about like me to talk about the format of the video a bit, I'll talk about it now. And stay tuned. So I split the video up. I should say I removed 2 sections. I removed difficulty as a section because it didn't really make sense. When I was reviewing Little Nightmares 2, that's when I had the question about difficulty. So I completely removed it, and it will be a part of gameplay as like a side note. I combined music to graphics and art style to make design and music. I ordered it 5 extra points as I don't think art and music are that high on my tier list for like what I expect from a game. I love the story and I love gameplay. That's what I really care about. The graphics and music can be lower. Sometimes some games don't even have music and I love them. So that's why I dropped it down. So now like I think if I remember correctly, it's like 6 points for design. The rest is to music, so, or maybe it's like 7, 8. It's like it's something like that. I need to check my notes because I wrote down I wrote down how much I'm awarding it, and then like a few questions, which I'm going to keep out of the video just so you can't just guess what I'm going to rate something based on me playing it. But yeah, I will be like maybe balancing this in the future, like doing a balance patch for my reviews. I just sounds crazy to say, but yeah, I might at one point need to do that to like figure out, because I'm still getting used to the format and still trying to improve in every way I can. This is actually my like 8th time recording this. I've been at it for like 3 hours, and every time I record it I'm just like, no, that was a shit take. But here I think I've got a good one. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here and you do have comments about the format, down below is the best place, not on Discord. Please, down below, it helps a great deal. And like, comment and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.